from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And you know, I stick to a theme. When I see a theme that's working, I just stick to it. And the theme, I feel, of this year, the Jewish year from September to September, is narrative hitting reality. We've had many narratives about many things, and they've all hit reality, and they've crumbled, right? They completely crumbled. So it's been a bit surprising, the reaction to that, like we were told in fandom. A good example of this, we're told in fandom that the world wants to move on. We don't want old white men. Ugh. Oh, dictating what we want, cis white men. Oh, they're the worstest ever. No, everyone stunning and brave, progressive new science fiction. They want Doctor Who to be a lady. They don't care about anything else as long as she's a lady. If you don't like it, doesn't matter what your reason. The only reason that you wouldn't like it is because you don't like ladies. That's true. Oh, so that was the narrative, and it was going to be stunning and brave, and everybody's going to love it. And the first episode came out, and it got 10.96 million, I believe, with their consolidated ratings. And they said, "Look at the ratings! They're so important. They're so incredible, and prove us right." Prove us right completely. We are completely right, and everybody else is wrong, and you're a sexist bigot, and you gotta shut up because we've broken the glass ceiling, and yay! Right? That's essentially what happened, isn't it? So that was the narrative. Then it hit reality. It hit reality, didn't it? And it's the lowest rated version of Doctor Who ever. Why? Essentially because it's very bad storytelling. I mean, is it because Jodie Whittaker's a woman? It depends on where, the way you look at it. I don't think Doctor Who needed to have failed by having a female Doctor, right? I don't think it was like necessary to, if you look at what Doctor Who is, and you accept basic realities about life. There is masculinity and femininity. There are men. There are basic cornerstone things in life that reflect the society in which you're supposed to be entertaining or even educating. But when it doesn't reflect it, it loses audience. It falls apart because it just doesn't work. And I think that's what we see. So I'm doing a deep dive of the Jodie Whittaker era. God help me. And honestly, I should be getting danger money for this. Oh God, it's so bad. But I want to work out exactly what was going on. So I'm about what, 80% through her first season now, and every episode isn't really a story. It's somebody banging on about their agenda, right? It's an ideological agenda, badly wrapped up in a narrative, like very, very, very obviously that's what it's doing, and it's just failing. It just failed. Like, and every episode is a different agenda that just doesn't really work or make sense. You got Demons of the Punjab is a great example about the partition of India. Teaches you nothing at all about the partition of India, like genuinely, absolutely nothing about it, other than Vinny Patel says it's bad. It's all because of white men, right? That's all we really learnt about the partition of India. It was bad. It's all because of. Don't look at all the brown-coloured people killing each other. No, it's the white man who's responsible for everything. And we had the somewhat ridiculous Rosa episode where anybody white was like, "Ah! I hate black people! Ah!" And of course, there was a lot of racism there. But it's just so silly in that we live in a day and age where the naughty National Socialists from Berlin and from Germany in the 1930s are now being portrayed in a nuanced way, right? It's genuinely a nuanced manner. But people from 1955 America, no, they're all evil, right? They're all intrinsically evil. Anyway, so we've had a narrative hidden reality. But, the reason, as I said, these stories just don't work is because they're not really stories. They are platforms for ideology. They are agenda-driven, which, is something that was completely denied by the people who loved it because they were agenda-driven. It is exactly like people who deny the Holocaust in one way or another. They are universally universally, the people who would be ecstatic if the Holocaust actually happened, which it did, they would be, universally, saying the people who say, no, there's no agenda, this is just basic morality that everybody agrees with. No, that's not what happened at all. That's not what happened at all. Anyway, so we had narrative hitting reality. So we're going to look at an article from What Culture, which is an interesting reflection of that. There's this gentleman, Mark Donaldson. I believe he's referenced me more than once in his articles. I mean, not by name, but I think I make him a bit crazy. I don't know. You know why I'm making him a bit crazy, I think? It's because we both started off at the same place, I think. We both started off as, like, old school Doctor Who fans who were kind of like progressive. I like to think of myself as really progressive. I like different things. I like new things. I'm a bit of an artsy person. I like the envelope being stretched or whatever you want to call it. I like all that stuff, right? That stuff really, really works for me. So when they said there was a lady Doctor Who, I was like, okay, I'm up for it. Let's see what they're going to do. I think Mark over here was somebody who drank from the Kool-Aid and just got caught not wanting to say they're wrong, right? Not to say it didn't work. So now he's pining for the 90s when there was no Doctor Who. After Doctor Who was kind of saying it was much better. I tend to agree with him. I think it's probably quite a good article. If you weren't around in the 90s, buckle up. If you were around in the 90s, prepare to have a really nice warm nostalgia fest about what was, up until now, the worst time in Doctor Who, right? The absolute worst time in Doctor Who. Or was it? Is the late Colin Baker era the worst time in Doctor Who? For me, I'm going to say the late Colin Baker era. The late Colin Baker era in general was the worst time in Doctor Who. I felt very bad, but it's not because Colin Baker, it's the politics going on behind it. Now, of course, is the worst time in Doctor Who, as we can see, much worse than when they weren't making any Doctor Who. Fine! Before we get into this video, can you hit the like, share, and subscribe button? You're probably watching this in the future. In the future, my channel has been blocked off for a week. I got till Saturday morning, when I'm offline anyway for the Jewish Sabbath, before I'm allowed back on for hate speech, and it's such BS. Yeah, I'm really hoping Elon Musk changes to Twitter, make it insanely more profitable, makes it insanely more productive and profitable and used by so many more people, that all the other shareholders and all the other social media and tech giant companies will go, wait a minute, where's our money? Why aren't you doing what Twitter does and allowing everybody to have free speech equally? And yeah, the gaslighting is incredible right now. They say, no, it's going to be unregulated. It's going to be an unsafe space. To be an unsafe space is somebody who can't handle living with other opinions. Yes, right. If you are somebody who crumbles at the existence of somebody disagreeing with you, it's going to be unsafe. Maybe you should get used to living with other people. Okay, maybe live and let live. Is that such a bad idea? I know it's very scary for these people, but it's such a bad idea. Who knows what they're saying? Fine. Like, share, subscribe. If you're watching this, so I'm putting this out on my alternative channel, and I'll repost it when my community strike is over. But if you're watching it on the original posting, please share it. Thank you very much. That's very, very, very helpful. Comment, let me know what you think. Subscribe. Definitely subscribe on Rumble. And, again, if the good Lord is taking requests, if you want to smite anything, YouTube, just smite it. And so we all have to go over to Rumble, where I've got my feet under the table there already. And it's all going to be much better. Right? It's all going to be much better. Again, that's if the good Lord is taking requests. Not often that happens, but you don't ask, you don't get. Fine. So like, share, subscribe, comment, sign up my Substack, which is a good way of keeping in contact. That's my email newsletter, which I forgot. Did I forget to send out yesterday? Yes, I did forget to send that out yesterday. I've got to remember to do these things when I'm essentially offline. Okay, like, share, subscribe, comment, Substack. Also sign up to my paid Substack. It's the 27th of April. There should be new content going out on that in the next 2 or 3 years before the end of the month, right? That's always my goal. Fine. Let's get into this article. Doink. Here we go. 10 ways that Doctor Who was better in the 1990s. Doctor Who is better when it's not on TV. Usually not. Only when the Doctor on TV is irredeemably awful. Right? We all agree. In 1989, Doctor Who finished its 26th season with a promise to return soon. Yeah, man. There at that point, us little younglings in the youngling fans learned an incredible truism. BBC lies. That was coming back. Oh no, they had this line: "We don't want the Doctor to be languishing in the backwaters of audience appreciation. We want to get." The reason I can say it verbatim. Was it 30 years later? Because they said it over and over again, over and over again. You know how many times they said it? It was like the word Ewok, right? Ewok, how many times do you think that was mentioned in Return of the Jedi? That word was used. Do you think it's 20, 15, 30? Because it's part of national consciousness, international consciousness, I would say. 0. Right? 0! Freaking incredible. But yeah, they banged that out over and again with no intention whatsoever. And they had all these production companies lining up to making bids to run it, but they just were not interested in any way. Interestingly enough, they're trying to spin the Legend of the Sea Devils as not being the lowest rated ever, because they had a consolidated rating of 3.46 million, as opposed to the overnight rating of 2.2 million. What was the live rating? I don't know, but the first episode of season 26 was Battlefield. And they got a 3. Actually, they're saying 3.1. It was actually 3.2. It got a 3.2 rating. And they say, no, see, it's still not the lowest weighted episode ever. Are you really comparing apples to apples? I think, I think you're much closer with your overnight rating than your 7-day consolidated. What are you counting in all the people who videoed at Battlefield and watched it that week? Do you count? No, of course you don't. Are you factoring in that the time slot, how it was like loved by the BBC, Legend of the Cybermen, Legend of the Sea Devils? And Battlefield was hated by the BBC. I mean, are you factoring any of the? Are you factoring in the population growth of what 20% over the last 30 years? That 20. Add that 20% extra to 3.2, and what do you get? That Jodie Whittaker is the lowest rated Doctor of all time, for good reason, for very good reason. We went over. 23rd soon. The promise was nobody could tell fans when that soon would be. Never is when that soon would be. Absolutely never. So began Doctor Who's dreaded wilderness years, a fallow period where there was no continuing series of Doctor Who to enjoy each year, and yet Doctor Who never dies. It simply regenerates. That's why I think it's going to come back. As long as Russell Davies doesn't jam a knife into the heart of it, which he gets. Lygia West as a Doctor would do that, in my opinion, right? I think Doctor Who would come back. I don't know if it's too late for Star Wars. It probably is for Star Trek, because nobody's really seen the current Star Trek. I think if they made Star Trek that was good, it will come back in an instant, right? And I think Star Wars, I don't know. Boba Fett was really bad, wasn't it? It was really, really disappointingly bad. Is it? It might be over for Star Wars, right? It might be like Flash Gordon. Things don't last forever, right? I found a bit of continuing this, and yet Doctor Who attempted to keep the flame alive. Not only did it keep it alive, attempted to. We did. We absolutely did keep it alive. Out of the darkness came a creatively rich period of the show that put control in the hands of the fans. Yes, the inmates took over the asylum because nobody cared. That was great. It was like how Russell Davies got his start in writing. He was working on a kids show called Why Don't You? Do they still have that on? So Why Don't You was basically this like magazine show of telling you kids what you could do during the summer holidays, or during half term or whatever, which wasn't just watching TV relentlessly. So Russell Davies got a job in it as a graphic designer, I think is how he came in. And then he started working on the writing, and he added in plot lines. And it was all after my time, right? But nobody cared because nobody was watching. That's what Doctor Who fandom was like. Nobody cared, right? Nobody cared anymore, and people could just do whatever they wanted. So creatively rich period of the show that put control into the hands of the fans and would later go on to have a big impact on the future. So this is what I thought was coming. Before Russell Davies said it was coming back, this is what I thought was coming for us. Meanwhile, there was a raft of programs that showed just what a Doctor Who-shaped hole there was in the schedules. Short-lived, critically derided TV shows like Crime Traveller or Invasion Earth, all both awful, lacked the magic and the charm of Doctor Who. The BBC tried to revive a number of old TV shows like Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer's vehicle, Randall and Hotcoat Deceased, which I really loved, okay? Tom Baker was in it. It was really, really good. But none of them could hold a candle to Doctor Who. This is true. Out of the darkness came Rusty Davies's bold new vision for the show. It wasn't bold new vision. It was just like good contemporary TV, essentially. But it also provided fans some brilliant stories and experiences. Well, I certainly had a few brilliant stories and experiences in the 90s myself. I cannot deny. I cannot tell a lie. Number 10, starting at the beginning. Local groups. Yes! Oh! Yeah, this is when people used to meet each other in person. I mean, I didn't go to them so much. Actually, funny, the local group I did go to, which was on the other side of frickin' London, it was a real schlep for me, was the Tripods local group, because it never got bigger than a local group. It was just a tiny bit of fandom. I used to go to Panopticons, but local groups was like, you would meet up in pubs. I guess the Fitzroy Tavern, I mean, that was the local group I went to. Where fans just met up and talked Doctor Who. It was nice, right? And we disagreed, and it was fun, and it was a laugh, right? And it was rowdy and shouty. It was a lot of fun. Okay, a lot of fun. In an age before social media, to seek out fellow Doctor Who fans, this wasn't as easy in the days when the show was no longer going concern. However, in small enclaves across the country, the faithful kept the flame alive, partly because it was still legal to smoke in pubs. Oh man, them were the days. Smoke in pubs, and then you could go for an injured. Doctor Who fan groups met in pubs across the UK to watch old episodes, play stupid games. Fanzines. Oh, there were so many fanzines, right? We're swapping around. Share rumors about the impending comeback that wouldn't surface for over a decade. In these pubs, you could trade tapes of Doctor Who stories. I actually found a guy. What was it? There was a like a really cheap. It was like a Craigslist paper, right? Before the internet, right? Where I found a guy who was like selling old tapes. I remember I got when they got the Invasion. It's like, oh, this terrible little ninth generation copy, and I loved it, right? It was like gold, right? It was like freaking gold. And Colony in Space, I loved that as well. Trade tapes, stories that hadn't been released commercially. None of them had been released commercially when I started getting to it, or has since been deleted from home entertainment catalogs. No, nothing got deleted. I left England in late '91, right? So that's basically where I left fandom. That's when I became a rabbi. I didn't intend to, right? It was supposed to be like a 2-week vacation. I ended up spending the rest of my life. While these pub groups had their own strange rituals, secret meetings, and entry requirements, they could be incredibly welcoming places at a time when Doctor Who's the Doctor's return felt further away than ever. These were an easy and enjoyable way to find your tribe and form friendships. Yeah, it was like, again, meeting people in real life, I just think generally speaking is better, right? Generally speaking is better. There's a reason that when Doctor Who finally returned in 2005, Rusty Davies penned an affectionate tribute to these fans called Love and Monsters. Yes! And that's one of the reasons I think I like Love and Monsters, because that was the fan group vibe, right? The local group vibe was Linda, right? It was like these geeky people who just kind of found each other. These geeky, awkward people that shouldn't come together, that found each other and made their own little group. It was lovely, right? It was really, genuinely lovely. That's why I love Love and Monsters. And these famously thick-skinned Doctor Who fans very much took it in jest and embraced the spirit that it was intended. Yeah, it was great. I mean, like, generally speaking, genuinely, it was absolutely great, right? It was people just enjoying Doctor Who. Right, and there was no expectation that it was ever going to come back. It really was. Especially after '96, right? No expectation whatsoever we would ever see it again. Doctor Who was always on TV. So this looks like the linking things from the Doctor Who night. That was in 1999, I think. Oh, awesome. They had it was on BBC Two. Doctor Who took over the whole night. We had a few great documentaries, and then linking stuff with Tom Baker being Tom Baker, and there was a BBC Two logo in the shape of a Dalek. It was freaking awesome, right? It was, again, if you're living in a wilderness and you find like a berry, you go, oh, that's the best berry ever. But it was actually really good stuff. While new episodes of Doctor Who were few and far between in the 90s, I wonder if they're going to talk about the Bill Baggs stuff, Alton and things like that. There was surprisingly, and I think Shakedown was very good as well. There was a surprising amount of Doctor Who on British TV. Each weekend we saw Satellite Channel, UK Gold Screen, Doctor Who serials on Saturday and Sunday mornings. They were introduced by Glenn Allen, who provided an invaluable beginner's guide for younger fans. And lucky enough to miss out on their own era, but lucky enough to have satellite telly. Everybody had satellite telly by 95, I think. The BBC, meanwhile, mounted several repeat seasons over the year, most notably in 92, 93. Great trailer. That was Spearhead from Space started it. It was really a great trailer they did for that. Well, where are we up to? The Manchester repeat session 92-93 that aired a serial of each of the seven Doctors decades before the return of Decades before their return opposite Jodie Whittaker, the Sea Devils were terrifying a whole new generation of kids. More people watch those reruns, mate, okay? More people watch those bloody reruns than, I think, watch Legends of the Sea Devils. Right? And I am convinced, if you take the raw footage of Survival, right, you add on new special effects, give it a new title sequence, new music, and put it out as like an edited movie-length thing, it will get better ratings than Legend of the Sea Devils, right? I am convinced of it. Why? Because it was good. And it had was it Helen Payson as well. And very contemporary, right? Very, 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 very contemporary. So decades before Sea Devils and Generation on Friday nights. On top of this, there were several comedy sketches by future Doctor Who writers like Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, the themed nights on BBC Two that included new documentaries and old episodes. BBC's children's television Blue Peter dedicated a whole episode in the late 90s to the show and its burgeoning online community. Yeah, we were one of the first people online, right? Where was it? I guess I was online by the mid-90s, like Windows 95. I was online before Windows 95. It would have been America Online, so what, 94, 95? I remember getting into Rec Arts Doctor Who, right? That was really the first, but yeah, I mean, like, we were very much online. The children's television program dedicated, Blue Peter is like a magazine program. I don't think it's on anymore, is it? Proof that young fans still had a lot of supporters in the corporation, and that proof that Doctor Who still had a lot of supporters within the corporation, and that an eventual return was surely a foregone conclusion. Didn't feel that way at the time, mate. Okay, did not feel that way at the time. All right, what's this one? Paul McGann is the Doctor. He was a great Doctor from the 90s as well, right? I mean, really, he was really good. One of the most exciting moments of the 90s was the Paul McGann TV movie. Yeah, but like, it was crushing when it didn't get picked up. But, man, I think that probably would have hurt Doctor Who in the long run. BBC wanted to do like Inspector Morse style, like 90 minutes. He wanted to do like 6 90-minute movies a year, and Fox wanted to do like 42-minute episodes, and it just didn't get enough ratings against Roseanne when John Goodman had a heart attack in that episode. Didn't get good enough ratings. In England, it did gangbusters, right? It did absolutely incredible. It was like 9 million, I think. It was unbelievable ratings. And it did well because Paul McGann was pretty darn good in the role, really. That's basically what he was, just pretty darn good. One of them, it was 90s. Fans queued up around the country to buy an early VHS release of the movie, but wasn't it delayed? It was kind of delayed a couple of weeks, and we were like, what the hell? Right? As stores opened on midnight, Could this bold new reinvention Doctor Who sit alongside shows like X-Files or Star Trek? I think they were superior, right? I think this Doctor Who could have totally sat alongside Deep Space Nine, for example. Yeah. Well, unfortunately not. The pilot failed to perform as desired in the US, and so Fox pulled the plug despite a strong ratings in the UK. The TV movie is undeniably muddled production. I liked it, right? But it contains a lot of elements that would eventually feature in the 2005 reboot. Revival, mate! Revival, not reboot. Namely, kissing and faster-paced storyline. It didn't please everyone, however, and some fans felt it was too Americanized or too heavy on mythology. I kind of like the Americanized version of it, though, right? I mean, it seemed kind of fun. What wasn't in doubt was how much Paul McGann nailed the role. Yes, 100%. I am the Doctor. Yeah, perfect, right? Absolutely perfect. He was handsome, dashing, romantic time traveler long before David Tennant. He was the modern Doctor, perfect for 96. The biggest disappointment of the TV movie was that McGann never got to continue his travels. And McGann would quip that he could become the George Lazenby of Doctor Who. That was until Big Finish came along in the early 2000s, and the rest is history. Yeah, but Janet Fielding was his agent or manager at the time, and she was like strongly advising against it. Like very, very strongly advising against it. Number 4 or number 7, depending on how you count it. They're counting down, I'm counting up, I guess. Number 7, according to them, it was a period, it was Doctor Who's most creatively vibrant period. I do agree. And you know, there's been some really creatively vibrant periods. I think the 2005 seasons on incredibly creatively vibrant. But man, having no rules, right? Having no rules was. Oh, by the way, if there was a little jump just now, there's been about a 2-hour gap for me while my computer crashed and I rebooted it. I was doing stuff on my other machine, but I finally finished. So if there's a little jump, that is the reason for it. But yeah, it was Doctor Who's most creatively vibrant period. I do tend to agree with that, right? I do tend to agree, even though that Doctor Who was offline, but because it didn't really matter, right? We had to find ways of there being Doctor Who, and really, really creative ways of there being Doctor Who as well. It looks like this is Anthony Ainley's master linking intro from the... I liked it at the time. It's dated horribly now. Was it the Destinies of the Doctor computer game? Just any little thing like that. I just sucked up. You know, I actually inhaled. I was like so up for Doctor Who. And there was a lot of good Doctor Who about, you know, a lot of good Doctor Who about in fanzines and things like that. Here, let's have a look, see what this says. With the absence of a new Doctor Who, despite the proven appetite for it, the BBC's commercial arm had to get creative. Now, this is where John Nathan Turner, I think he tried to end up, and man, if they had managed to get him, they got him on board for a few of the Is Tapes discs. But like, yeah, he would have been the best person to run that range, probably. On top of the release of classic serials. Yeah, and that was mind-blowing, right? That was mind-blowing that we were getting them out. And beautiful artwork, right? The covers, the Alistair Pearson or Andrew Skilleter? I think it was more Andrew Skilleter. Ron Howard, is it Ron Howard, isn't he? Richie from Happy Days. What was his name? I can't remember. But yeah, they were beautiful and it would look great. And he said, trouble is, and you needed a lot of shelves. I mean, for me, if I can see it over there, how can I show it here? Maybe I'll take this off the screen. Fine, let me just move this in that direction. So you can see all the Blu-rays over there, right? These are like, what, how many seasons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons worth, right? Back when we were on VHS, right? I had about 4 or 5 shelves, like massive shelves, and then so I was really happy when it went down to DVD, and then it's going down to Blu-ray. It just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm really quite happy about that. But yeah, they took up a lot of space, but it was great. It was great. There was a real mentality of collecting VHS at the time. I think that was really brought around by Star Trek Next Generation. Well, if you wanted to watch it up to date on Deep Space Nine, you had to buy the VHSs. They came. No, I was fortunate enough. I was I was in the States then. I think a lot of the time. Yeah. But yeah, no, you had to buy these, and they look great. They look fantastic on your shelves. That was the 90s and the 2000s when you had these huge video collections of like fantastic stuff. On top of the release of the classic series, there were the new years tapes that collected clips and alternate episodes tied them together with a common theme. Okay, yeah, this was John Nathan Turner's baby. Each of these was presented by a former Doctor. So John Pertwee hosted the Troughton years, Peter Davison hosted the Daleks the early years. That was from the second batch, and much more. A feature-length edit of Sylvester McCoy's classic Curse of Fenric was also put together. And it was the first of many attempts to complete Shada. Yeah, that was Tom Baker in a pinstripe suit. I think at the British Film Institute, narrating the Lincoln thing. And I also think they did his years tape at the same time. It looked like it did. I wasn't entirely sure. Featuring Sylvester McCoy's classic, The Curse of Fenric, was also put together. And it was the first of many tapes to make Shada. Outside the home video market, there were 2 audio dramas that continue the Third Doctor's. That was it Paradise and Death? I can't, but it was it was Nicholas Courtney, John Pertwee, and Liz Sladen. It was a weird. I was like, really, that's a weird combination, but it really worked quite well. Actually, they really didn't. The Ghosts of End Space really didn't. Yeah, but we had a lot of work. I'm not surprised they haven't mentioned the Bill Bagg stuff. That he's the one who really started the ball rolling on the audio drama, because it all came from Audio Visuals, which was a fan group that made audio drama that ended up being mostly Big Finish. Let me see. The Curse of 2 audio dramas that continue the Third Doctor's adventure. A bizarre video game that starred Anthony Ainley in a mind-boggling, strange FMV. I don't know what FMV's sequence is. They were really good. It was a really good performance. Again, go check out this clip on YouTube. As the 90s gave way to the new millennium, the BBC explored possibilities of continuing Doctor's story on the internet. The 90s were creatively vibrant, multimedia extravaganza for Doctor Who, and all that doesn't even cover the multiple novels and fan films that were also in production. More on which shortly. Good. I'm glad they're going to cover that stuff, because I think that stuff's important. The Virgin New Adventures rate. Oh yeah, awesome. Here, can you see them? Here, I'll go move this in this direction. Okay, you could just see some in the background over there, but they're in the second layer. They were great as well. They were really good. I mean, here's the thing. They felt like they were so grown up and adult, and I tried to read one of my favorite ones about 6 months ago. The Left-Handed Hummingbird, and it was so... Hummingbird, not Hummingberg. And it was so juvenile. It was so like adolescent, right? And it felt so grown up at the time. With the future of Doctor Who still uncertain, Virgin Publishing inherited the license for the show that they acquired when they acquired W.H. Allen. The publishers responsible for the legendary Target range of novelizations, Peter Darville Evans, recognized the dwindling number of Doctor Who stories left to be novelized, and eventually convinced the BBC to license a new range continuing adventures for the Seventh Doctor and Ace. So they published what was going to be the original format for that, which fitted much more into the post-season 26, right? It was much more that tone. It was much more for a younger tone. And then Peter Darville Evans, I think, just said, wait a minute. We can get crazy, right? We can get crazy. The novels were more adult in tone. What was that sequence? It was, they come back in the TARDIS after Survival. It comes right after Survival. And they find that the Master's in the TARDIS and he smashes a hole in the console. So they lost randomly in time and space. I think that's what happened. The novels were more adult in tone, which could occasionally lead to jarring tonal clashes akin to Torchwood's awkward first season. Awkward! When the books were good, however, they were very good indeed. Paul Cornell's Human Nature was eventually adapted into a David Tennant story, and I think the book was slightly better. While Mark Gatiss, Gareth Roberts, Stephen Moffat, and Rusty Davies got their first licensed Doctor Who work published via Virgin. Yeah, if you're curious to hear Rusty Davies one, Big Finish did an adaptation of it. They've done an adaptation of a bunch of those ones. And they're really good. I really like that. What's it called again? Damaged Goods. It's so Russell T Davies as well, right? It's real prime Russell T Davies. As well as human nature, a lot of elements from the new adventures and latterly the missing adventures, that was a secondary range which had past Doctors in it, but they were very traditional. They had Alistair Pearson covers, right? The first one was it was a Fifth Doctor Nyssa sequel to State of Decay, and the ship. What's the name of the ship in State of Decay? Looks a lot better on that book cover, right? It looked like the Nostromo. It looked really, really cool. But you had Nyssa had fangs and like blood on her shirt, but they whited out the blood because they didn't want it to be too scary. But there was another great one, a great Sea Devil and Silurian one called Scales of Injustice. So much better than Legend of the Cybermen. Of the Sea Devils. I keep saying Legend of the Cybermen. Missing Nature would later be revealed, providing the novels truly laying the groundwork for the modern version of Doctor Who. That is true. When Paul McGann's TV movie was announced, the BBC took back the license and published their own range of Doctor Who and past Eighth Doctor and past Doctor novels, which weren't as good, right? They weren't as good, and I kind of dropped out of them. Mad Dogs and Englishmen, right? That was a good novel. It had like a weird time traveling Noel Coward. I kind of like that book. But there's still another much more exciting series taking place for the Eighth Doctor taking place elsewhere. So where are we going to go? Number 5, the Doctor Who magazine strip. Why is this picture with the Doctor Who Really? I forgot to turn this on, okay? Here, I'll just show you what that last page was that I wasn't looking at. Okay, here we go. Fine. A Doctor Who magazine strip. Why is this picture with the Doctor Who magazine strip? Like, what? Comic strip. This is Hugh Grant not being the Doctor. I mean, Curse of Fatal Death, being the Doctor. Remember when the Doctor... remember the Doctor's question mark underwear? I don't really remember that. Sideman Companion, yes, Proton. I was like, Proton, is it? Or Croton? I can't remember. He was fun. I like that. That time they used alien technology to accidentally render a historic warrior immortal, or... of course you do. These are all elements of the Stephen Moffat's era showrunner, except they're prominent plot points... There are prominent plot points from the 8th Doctor's comic strip from Doctor Who magazine, even the underwear. The underwear, I believe, that sounds like something Dave Gibbons would do, right? Or actually, it sounds more like the whimsy that was, what's his name? My favourite guy. Ridgway, John Ridgway. I think Alan Mackenzie writing it. There were like, yeah, I don't really remember that. I don't remember it in Moffat's era. Cyberman Companion, well, I guess handles then. Time used any technology to render a historic. Yeah, that was Asher. What was her name? Girl from Game of the Thrones. Until Paul McGann reprised his role for Big Finish in the early 2000s, the 8th Doctor adventures took place in the comic strip and novel form. Yeah, and honestly, it was a nice time. It was a good era. There was a short-lived comic strip in UK TV listings magazine, Radio Times. Yeah, it was written by Gary Russell and illustrated by Lee Sullivan, who was the heir apparent to John Ridgway's Doctor Who comic book art crown. There was it didn't last long. And a long-running strip in Doctor Who magazine. It's really excellent. Here, what can I get out of the way and show you? Where is it? Over here. You can get, they're in a series of 4 trade paperbacks. The 8th Doctor event. They're really good, right? And it's got its own unique feel to it. Yeah, but they were really good. It was the Doctor paired with Izzy Sinclair, a sci-fi fan from the perfect modern postmodern Doctor Who companion. Yeah, this was the era of Buffy, right? And it really fit well into that era of Buffy. Their adventures saw the next terrifying stage of the Dalek mutation. Yeah, that was excellent. That was his first story. The Doctor became a vampire. That's also excellent. A reunion with Grace Holloway. The Doctor's battle with the Master for control of the Omniverse. And they had a really good comic strip master. I really liked him. The fact the show was on TV gave writers Alan Barnes and Scott Gray real creative freedom to explore what they could achieve within the comic book medium. Yeah, I think it's probably one of the best eras for Doctor Who comics. Actually, my favorite is actually the late McCoy stuff. They had that really great one where they go to a parallel universe with where Silurians and Sea Devils live in peace and harmony with humanity. There's a lot of really good stories in that era. That's my favorite, my personal favorite. And also, it tied into the Virgin New Adventures. That they really wanted to stop that at the end of the Seventh Doctor run. And who was the editor then? I don't know. So he did a story that killed off Ace, right? And it had the Doctor in his movie outfit. So it was very, very different. It was a different continuity. It was good though. It was very good. For the Lost Generation of Wilderness Fairs, this was the new Doctor Who, and it was absolutely thrilling. Yes, it was. I completely agree with you. Tom Baker's autobiography. I remember the ads for that, right? Oh no, yeah, no, it came out the same time as what was it, a real-time video? And I remember the ad for that. Like, is Tom Baker live here? Tom Baker, I think he's dead. I think it was. My first ambition of life was to be an orphan, so because Tom Baker's extraordinary revelation and potentially to family autobiography. It's hard to tell how many of the tall tales that Tom tells in the book are actually true. I hope there's a book on tape on this. That's the only way to experience this. But it's an incredibly entertaining read. In the years before DVD commentaries and special edition Blu-rays, it provides some insight into Baker's world. Well, again, the years tapes did that. It's basically him sitting down and commenting on each of his stories. And funny, when he gets up the stories with Lala Ward, he's like, look how pretty Lala looks. He obviously the nightmare of being married to her has receded in his memory at this time, and he's just remembering the good times. The good times look like they were mainly in bed. Listen, you go and watch season 17. Came out on Blu-ray. Lala Ward is literally drooling over Tom Baker, right? I mean, she's very much into an authoritarian male role model telling what to do. She dresses as a bloody schoolgirl in it for one of the stories, for goodness sake. That wasn't a mistake, right? I probably dressed that way in the bedroom too, but not for long. I imagine her being into kinky stuff. Don't you? I do. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a closet in a bedroom full of whips and gags. Would that sort of shock you at all? No, I'll be like, oh, that makes sense. Where was it? He toured the country signing books and asking fans questions. It was glorious, right? I was in Israel at the time, so I wasn't on board. I used to keep up to date with everything by reading Dreamwatch magazine, which was it was born from DWB, Doctor Who Bulletin, and they wanted to do an official general sci-fi magazine, so it became Dreamwatch, which was very, very good, right? It was much better than SFX, and then it got bought by Titan and went downhill. And I just went back to reading SFX, which is still a bit garbage. Where is it? Not being an official publication was a far cry from this stage managed and towing the line approach of modern Doctor Who appearances. It's hard to imagine David Tennant write an autobiography where he admits to contemplating murdering his mother-in-law, despite potential in-law matricide. Baker's autobiography is funny and surreal. Very surreal and surprisingly moving, as you may expect from the Fourth Doctor. One particularly lovely moment is when he describes his young family, visiting a young family as they watch an episode of Deadly Assassin. Yeah, he just walks in. It's also like a famous story. Deadly Assassin, while another fan encounter related by Baker finds him tending to a local graveyard in which he bought a plot and a gravestone. You see, I'm a great fan. I can't do his voice. And I just thought I'll put some flowers on your grave. Suddenly I want to say, why do you want to put flowers on my grave when I'm standing in front of you? Can't you see I'm alive? Too obvious. That's a bit strange. Fans are weird, though. Fans are strange. Was this number 7, 8? John Pertwee was still the Doctor. Oh, yes, glory days. Those were the days, indeed. The 1990s, John Pertwee was the Doctor. Yeah, he was even in Dimensions in Time, wasn't he? The guy who introduced it on Noel Edmonds. He regularly showed up in light entertainment shows in his cape to surprise a young fan, and on surprise, or slag off Noel Edmonds on Noel's house party. That actually happened. Yes, I remember that. His stories were regularly trotted out as Doctor Who conventions. Yet, and better yet, he returned as the Doctor alongside Nicholas Gould and Liz Sladen for 2 radio plays that we talked about earlier: The Ghost of Wednesdays and Paradise of Death. That also had what's his name in it, Nida. It was really quite good. And if you don't have the season 12 Blu-ray, they have a feature on that with called Behind the Sofa, where they have different people watch the episodes of Doctor Who and comment on them. So there's Tom Baker with a couple of other, I think Philip Hinchcliffe. I can't remember. No, I can't remember who he's with. But it's Tom Baker, and when he sees, was it Nida, which I can't remember his name, he's like, he still has a costume, he wears it, walks up and down the Strand. He goes off for a lot. It's so funny. As well as regularly trotted out at conventions, and radio plays. Ghost and Paradise of Death were both written by former 70s producer Barry Letts, and the closest fans to get to brand new full cast Doctor Who, which made up for some of the shortcomings in both productions. Yes, that's true. There was a nostalgic thrill in hearing the cast reunited to investigate more aliens going on, and it proved that despite his advancing years, John Pertwee was still very much the Doctor. He really was, right? He really inhabited the role. The most incredible John Pertwee story from this period was how he came to be a guest. Make a guest appearance as the third Doctor in the infamous fan film Devious. Yeah, I think it's on the Spearhead from Space Blu-ray, right? Yeah, which was never filmed. Set between War Games and Spearhead from Space, it tells of an alternate Doctor plucked from time after his trial. In '95, Pertwee spent a day with the Devious team to shoot a scene where the alternate third Doctor eventually becomes the one we know and love. Yeah, it's really, really nice, right? It's really good. I would say try and find it. Anyone could get involved. These are design things from the Dark Dimension that never happened. The team behind Devious weren't the only fans who decided to make their own Doctor Who during the dearth of the TV ventures. Keith Barnfather, Nicholas Briggs, and Bill Baggs all produced their own Doctor Who adjacent straight to video movies in the 1990s. Among the credits of Barnfather saw Sergeant Benton's spin-off. That was in the 80s, mate. That was the first one. Wartime. It had what's his name playing his father, Michael Wisher playing his father. Freaking, it was only 15-20 minutes long. It was great, right? A Sontaran movie written by Terrence Dix. Yeah, that was Downtime. That's probably the best of them. Really like that. Really, really is up for a re-release. They just need to, do a high quality transfer of it. Barnfather continued to make Doctor Who documentaries and movies to this day, including The Brilliant Syl and The Devil Caesar of Arodor. Brilliant's a bit of a stretch, mate. Okay, brilliant's a bit of a stretch. Baggs, meanwhile, would take some very creative approaches to copyright law by securing the rights for monsters and renaming the characters and the creatures that they couldn't get rights to. Alongside Baggs' Alton and Zygon film, the Zygon one is genuinely pornographic, right? It's genuinely it's so weird, but it is. It's not hardcore pornographic. At least I think there are sex scenes in it, but I don't think they're real. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I wasn't there at the time. There was Cyberon's Colin Baker as the Stranger. They were the 80s too. Sylvester McCoy as the Professor, and so on. Yeah, that was in the audio ones. It's best known. The best known of these professional fan projects was 1995's Downtime. I think Shakedown's better known than it, right? Written by Mark Platt, directed by Christopher Barry, and starring Nicholas Courtney, Elizabeth Sladen, Deborah Watling, and also somebody else playing Kate Lethbridge Stewart. I can't remember who it is. I don't think she's acting. My guess is she's probably not acting anymore. It followed the Brigadier and Sarah Jane as they attempt to avert another invasion by the Great Intelligence and his Yeti servants. I think I would have liked it a lot more had I seen Web of Fear, right? Now I've seen Web of Fear, I know how much I love the Great Intelligence. There were many other Doctor Who actors involved in production. Yeah, what's his name? K9 played a DJ. I mean, not K9, whoever did the voice. as the results continue to professionally cross over with their grown-up fans. Indeed, yeah. Again, this was the night. This is why they're nostalgic about the 90s, because it was weirdly a magical time. I think one of the reasons making it not magical: no Twitter, no toxic fandom. Oh my God, yeah. Everything makes it is better without toxic fandom. Blissfully, there was no social media in the 1990s. Yeah, if you didn't like Paul McGann's TV movie, you had to go to much more effort to register your estate. Well, you had Gallifrey Base. It was Outkick Post Gallifrey first, wasn't it? You could, and that was way worse than Twitter, right? You had people like John Bloom, who was like the Kate Allman's husband, who was like the Graham Poobah, and if you said anything that was outside the groupthink, he would descend upon you, verily. If you didn't like McGann TV, you could either seek out one of the fledgling online message boards community, that was pretty big, or once your dial-up modem eventually connected. No, we again, by 97, we all had DSL, I think, what they called it, yeah. Can you see? Or you may have to balance your vitriol, releasing that maybe some of the work has some merit after all. If you didn't have an internet connection, you could write letters to various fanzines and to Doctor Who magazine. I actually wrote a letter in that. I had a letter published in Doctor Who magazine during the 90s saying we've never had it so good, right? Because this was, I think, maybe it's the 2000s, where there was just so much stuff going on. So we've never had it that good, right? And I remember on Gallifrey Base, somebody talking about it and said, oh, that's me. Yeah, or Outpost Gallifrey. The Doctor Who magazine, but the process of writing a letter could provide a more balanced response to something that you didn't enjoy. Or maybe you could pop into your local group and have an argument with your friends over a few pints. Complaining about Doctor Who was a much more considered and sociable affair back in the 1990s. Doctor Who criticism was a lot less knee-jerk than it is now. No. Doctor Who defense is a lot more knee-jerk than it is now. You can't criticize, they go crazy. Right? Yeah. No, it's not that at all. Knee-jerk than it is now. It's hard to imagine a fan reaching for a pen and paper the moment that Doctor and Grace kiss, rattling off a quick letter, walking down to the post office and returning home in time to see the Master fall into the Eye of Harvey. No, you would do that after the episode, okay? You would do that after the episode. But yeah, listen, I don't think it's Twitter that's the issue. I think it's the people who like Twitter that are the issue. And boy, they are a strange, troubling crowd of people. In fact, that's the next video I'm going to be recording. If I have any idea, I'm going to record it today. It'll go out on Friday. But all this is going out next week as well on my main channel. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.